Welcome back, folks, to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2018 Stanford Invite here from Stevenson, California. Keith Rayner in the booth, joined by Charlie Eisenhood for a semifinal matchup from the men's division, and a much-anticipated one at that. We have North Carolina Darkside against Oregon Ego, a battle across the coast for the right to move on to the final.
Fantastic matchup, Keith. That's all you can say. These are two teams that have been ranked in the top 5 all season. And it's two teams that haven't really played an elite opponent yet. So this is really the first time that they are facing off against a team that you would really consider to be in the mix for winning a national championship this year. UNC is in the black. They will be starting on defense. Oregon in the white, the spray-painted jerseys, and we are underway. A fantastic defensive team going up against a fantastic offensive team. It should be a fun one.
And we'll talk about some of the guys who are or not playing for these two teams as Adam Rees comes under against Walker Matthews. Expect to see those guys go one-on-one. Xander Cuisinart-Tice up ahead to Noah Stewart, now looking reset. Tight window for Cuisinart-Tice. He'll throw the around to Rees to Colton Clark on the break side. And attempted toe in there from Braden Petrus. He'll throw the give and go, but not enough go. Rees in the middle. Now all the way across the field, wide open target. And that's a quick hold. Expect to see a lot of scoring from Will Laurie as he gets in the end zone for 1-0.
Wow, that's some crisp offense to kick things off here for Oregon. And then they just worked it down the field. They had to do a few extra passes in the red zone here, but just precise attack. I was talking to Coach Jay Jannon of Oregon before the game. He said that he feels like a lot of the teams they faced so far have been able to compete with their legs, with their speed, but the disc skills haven't been there. He said, I saw Darkside, I saw 1 point. They looked very smooth. He was excited for this one. They've been looking forward to this matchup all weekend.
Well, I think a lot of this game is going to be about which team can respond to having to play against an opponent of this level the quickest. Who can come out and say, we've got to step up our game to match up with these guys. You
see those free Kent jerseys for Oregon. Kent, a teammate of theirs that was deemed ineligible by USA Ultimate. Can't compete with them this season.
I believe he was trying to he had maybe played one tournament with them his first year, and they counted that as the beginning of their clock, as probably USA rightly should. He got hurt and didn't play that year or left the team or something of that nature. So this will be his 6th year, but they feel like they should have him as their 5th year.
And now we'll take a look at this UNC offensive line. UNC has just destroyed every team they've played so far this year. Matt Gujohannes on the field for the first time all year this weekend.
Here's a deep shot going up from Liam Searles-Bose. We tell you want to talk about making a debut. He hits Thomas Williams for a quick strike for Darkside.
Well, if you don't already know about him, Liam Searles-Bose, as we take a look at the replay, the #1 recruit this year, he's a freshman. No fear stepping into that backhand, delivering a quick score for Darkside. And Searles-Bose hasn't played this whole season until, again, this weekend, same as Gujohannes, just dealing with some lingering injuries. They didn't want to rush him back. He's just played so much Ultimate over the last couple of years. He's won back-to-back YCC titles with the Triangle Area team. He's played with the Raleigh Flyers and the AUDL. And, they just needed to give him a little time off, but nice way to kick things off here in this semifinal of the Stanford Invite.
A lot of parallels between these two teams and the level of recruits they've received over the past couple of seasons. Basically, always each of these teams has had someone in the Rookie of the Year conversation. Kai Marcus for this UNC team won the award last year, but we've seen so many talented players come through both of these programs, and their futures both look very bright. We talked a lot about the junior class on this Oregon team, but their sophomore group is also making a big impact. As we'll see what they can do on this offensive point. Ted Seither has stepped up into a bigger offensive role for them as a handler. And the pull going up from Walker Matthews, another one of the stars of this UNC team who's been on and off with injuries, but come out here and make a play for them. Colton Clark getting things started. Nathan Kwan taking away Will Laurie's first look, but it's Norman Archer who comes up with the block. Nowhere really to go against the lengthy Archer. Now the disc in the hands of Mark Robner, and he gets it moving to Elijah Long.
Long, such a great player for this UNC team. Tremendous individual defender, as well as perhaps their top D-line player on offense after the turn.
And, it's kind of stylish, too. It seems more like an Oregon player than a UNC player. And how about some style right there? Long, Quan, into the end zone. That's a break for UNC. They go up 2-1.
Well, Norman Archer sets it up with the great block. And then the offense looking good. Just want a little give and go with the handlers. Back to the inside, back to the outside, and an easy backhand dish into the end zone. So crisp, this UNC team. There's some questions. Maybe they should have been ranked number 1, number 2. Where do you see them? Of course, last year at Nationals, they blew out Carleton in pool play before falling to an incredible Jack Williams run in the semifinals for UNC Wilmington. Carleton goes on to win the tournament, but it's hard not to think back to that game in pool play and think, what if they had met in the final as UNC win that game? And it does seem like we're on a collision course this weekend for that matchup, Carleton versus UNC. Not if Oregon has anything to say about that.
Well, the joke that the joking refrain we've noted is Carleton says that Jack Williams is the team MVP for last year, having knocked out UNC in the semifinals. And it's worth noting we had quite a bit of discussion after that. Was that more Jack Williams or more UNC under the pressure failing to deliver? Because they were rife with errors late in that game with a significant lead and let Wilmington back into it. So certainly a learning experience for them. As the pull goes up again from Matthews. Deep pull. Siler taking the disc. A call downfield, probably a pick, but some poaching from UNC.
Right now just force flick from UNC.
Deep shot. Drops in for Laurie. And Laurie resets back to Rees. Another pick downfield.
Great pace to the game so far. Both teams just so talented and fast.
You have to imagine both of these teams have been anticipating this matchup since they saw the brackets and the pools released. Reese swings it over to Petrus. Inside break to Siler, and he continues over to Quizon Tice. Just force flick person defense here. Colton Clark gets open on the open side. Dish to Siler on the open side as well. Now in the red zone, looking to finish off those past couple yards. And Laurie gets it from Petrus for a hold. 2-2.
Nice bounce back point from Oregon after giving up the break. Will Laurie, particularly impressive. Just been a matter of time. When is Will Laurie going to really break out? It seems like this is the year. Nice easy score.
He was huge for the U24 men's national team in Perth on their way to winning the championship. I mean, he was a very, very impressive cutter and has a great nose for the end zone. But there I think you saw what we've heard about this Oregon team from their previous tournaments. They are not afraid to play a small window game and just jam it up the open side. And they're happy to take, 5 yards, tight window, not a lot of room between them and the sideline. They'll walk it up if you let them. And they've been very effective in the red zone using that and then countering to go all the way to the break side. So it'll be something UNC will have to contend with over the course of this semifinal.
That's one of the reasons they're such a great offensive team and have been for a long time. Oregon's long had the reputation for delivering a great offense every season. And that's because they can beat you deep. And if you let them get open deep, they are going to throw it and they will score. But if you go to work to take that away, they're happy to work the unders. A lot of teams are good at one or the other. Oregon is always good at both, and that's why their O-line is going to score a lot.
The other thing they are, Charlie, fast. This is a fast team, and they play with speed. Centering up to Gucho Hannes. Under for Thomas Williams. Williams is going to take a shot looking for Searles Bowes. Laurie and Chase nowhere near Searles Bowes. Easy dish into the end zone. Alex Davis on the goal. So a quick hold for UNC again. They'll maintain their lead.
Nice over-the-shoulder spike there. That was pretty smooth. See again the huck to Searles Bowes. Nicely weighted over the top. Searles Bowes, easy dish.
And this gives me a chance to talk about a player who, isn't a big name on this UNC team, which is just replete with star players. Thomas Williams, a guy who we saw stepping up in the fall. We saw him at CCC taking on a bigger role. He's had an opportunity to get reps, with guys like Searles Bowes missing time, Walker Matthews missing time, Gucho Hannes missing time. And Williams has shown that he's just as capable as a lot of these teammates. And that's the thing that we've seen about this dark side team year after year. There's just more guys. Every year you're like, man, they lost this guy, he's really good. They lose Aaron Warshower or whatnot. And there's just another guy behind that guy who's just as good.
Part of that is just the pipeline that they've developed in the Triangle area. The youth development is so strong in that part of the country right now, and they recruit well. Part of the coaching staff, John Nethercutt coaches the YCC team, coaches Darkside. Mike DeNardis has long had a hand in coaching in the area, coaches the Ring of Fire Club team, still involved with coaching this Darkside team, coaches the Raleigh Flyers. So there's not just a pipeline of youth players, but of development starting from the high school age players all the way up into this Darkside program.
I mean, it's the dream of every Ultimate community to cultivate this kind of organic growth that leads all the way up the chain. And you see, not only has it made this UNC program better, but all of the college programs in North Carolina are really starting to reach new heights. And it's bleeding also into their higher level, their club teams as well. Adam Reese takes the disc as Oregon really just rapidly advancing the disc into the end zone. Another assist for Petrus, this time to Quizon Tice. And these teams are wasting little time in getting goals.
A great offense again from Oregon. Open side, and open side. One of the things that we will keep an eye on this game, UNC has developed a reputation for not showing a lot of looks when they are being filmed. And so far we've seen pretty much straight up force flick defense from them. Will they try other things against this Oregon team that is obviously very comfortable running against even good, hard man defense?
And it's worth noting that this UNC team is without any of their traditional coaching staff. Ben Snell, an alum coming down from Seattle to help them out, but they're without Mike DeNardis, who is a tactical leader for them, David Allison, who they add to the staff this year, or John Nethercutt. So, they're kind of working in a way that maybe they won't be able to make the same level of strategic adjustment that they have in other years. So Oregon back on defense, and I think that the pace of this game so far is very, very common for these types of matchups, especially two elite teams feeling each other out. And I think that the press of the offense is something that we see a lot in these kinds of games as teams start to feel each other out, and then you'll see the defensive adjustments. Then you'll see the matchups start to tighten up. Gucho Hannes takes the under for Marcus, and Marcus loves to put up the deep shot. He will. Alexander Davis tries to size up the grab. Goes up first, but can't catch it through the defensive pressure. And that is our second turnover of the game.
Yeah, UNC's first turnover anywhere.
So we'll get our first look really at Oregon's D-line offense. Duncan Fitzgerald in the backfield working with Colby Chuck, both part of that sophomore class we mentioned for Ego. Now the dish with Kerry Athey. And Chase Matthews' throw is intercepted, but Petrus is going to call a foul.
Let's take a quick look at that. There's a little bit of a contact there and uncontested, so let's stay with Oregon.
Duncan Fitzgerald now pressed to the sideline. Swings it around. Now continued around. Pick call downfield. Disc in the hands of Michael Fieldman. Fieldman resets to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald over to Leandro Marks. Marks around break past Searles Bowes and into the end zone. Oregon gets back into it.
Smooth offense again. D-line looking just as good as the O-line. Moving through the handlers. And then break side movement into the end zone for the goal. It all got set up for this play. This is what Darkside tries to avoid, hanging that throw up too much. Great defense. Getting up, making a play over the top.
I don't know that I've seen. I don't think there is a deep option that Kai Marcus doesn't like. He's a shooter.
He is a shooter.
I mean, with the power that he has, I don't think you really want to rein that in per se. You got a great cutter like Davis taking off deep. I think it's the right look, but just a little too high, and Oregon's going to make you pay for even the small errors.
Well, they certainly like that motion with the away, sort of the outside in backhand there, going to the cutter, coming across. And, if that's a little bit lower, it's an easy score.
So Eagles defense back out, looking to add to their lead as Marks pulls. Marks reputed as one of the top pullers in the division. Gucho Hannes.
Good switching from Oregon to take away the initial pull play look.
Cohen looking for Matthews. Matthews trying to catch up to it, bids and gets his hand under it, but can't quite close on it, and another UNC turnover.
Can Oregon make it a 3-0 run?
Early throw up to Reese. A couple of O-line guys have crossed over. Reese looking deep for Marks. Marks able to win that fight for position with Cohen, and now up to Duncan Fitzgerald, just yards outside and into the end zone. Oregon gets another break and a third goal for Will Laurie. They now have the advantage, up 5-3.
Such a quick attack. Reese with the powerful forehand. You see it come in here. Darkside players never able to get a beat on it. And the goal, 3-0 run. Oregon up a break.
Oregon has a rich history of playing with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, this is a program that has long, tried to play the role of the rebel, and they certainly are going to respond to the UNC Carleton narrative. This would certainly shift the conversation away from a clash of the Titans.
Well, I mean, like we said at the start of the broadcast, neither of these teams has really played an elite opponent yet. So it could be a bit of a challenge. UNC hasn't really played anybody good. They had the final game of the Carolina kickoff rained out. That was going to be against UNC Wilmington. Queen City Tune-Up Sunday was canceled. So they've had a lot of pretty easy, comfortable wins. Not that they haven't played some good teams. They have, but nobody really in the elite tier. And getting punched in the mouth a little bit here early against Oregon and having to deal with the speed of this ego team.
I mean, I think that's why you come to Stanford Invite, right? Is to get a chance to test your mettle. And responding to adversity is probably not something they've had to do much of. And you've got to believe the coaches are hoping that they get to respond to some adversity so that, they can learn the lessons they need to not have a repeat of last year's semifinal performance.
Darkside took a timeout here. That's why we're still waiting for the pull from Oregon. Each team with 1 timeout per half and 1 floater.
Oregon back to a little bit more traditional D-line unit out there. Just look at this UNC O-line. You look at Kai, Marcus, Anders Young, sophomores. Liam Searles Bose, freshmen. And the pipeline is real.
Split stack look from Darkside. Oregon doing a really nice job of taking away initial flow.
Searles Bose has Marcus going deep, so cannons a backhand. This one's going to hang for a jump ball, though, and Marcus bodies the defender. And a foul call from Marcus against Fielden.
Well, there was certainly a lot of contact. Marcus playing the position game. See it again. Huck goes up. It sits a little too much, doesn't get out in front, so Marcus stops, and a lot of pushing from behind there. And I would imagine this is going to be upheld as a foul call. And it is being ruled a foul by the observer. So it will be checked in by Marcus and brought to the goal line.
So a great opportunity here for UNC. And they take a small window throw to Youngst for a quick score.
Nice look there from Marcus deep. That's one of his great assets. One of the reasons that he won Rookie of the Year last year is that he can be an effective deep target as well as one of the most powerful throwers on the team. Mostly you'll see him in the backfield, but obviously releasing there. So UNC gets their defense back on the field.
UNC now trailing 5-4. Whoever wins this game will advance to take on the winner of the other semifinal between Carleton and Washington. So top seeds pretty much all the way through, aside from Washington, who took down Brown. In the women's division, UBC taking on Oregon. Oregon handing Stanford their first defeat of the season in quarterfinals.
Carleton up 4-2 early on Washington. You can follow along with all of the other semifinals at ultiworld.com/live. You can also keep an eye on the live stream.
So the pull caught by Clark. Clark with nowhere to go, but they reset around the horn. Over to Cuisin's Tice. So kind of a zone look here from UNC. And there are just tons of bodies around the disc right now, clogged field, and nice job by Oregon to go from sideline to sideline to try and open things up. Seither. Quan pressuring the reset from Seither, able to use his length to get around the diminutive Quan. So now working the disc up into Laurie on the forehand sideline. Reese to Seither. Clark fighting for the under. Every cut has basically been pressure. I mean, this is a much higher level game than anything we've seen. Reese to Seither, and Seither gets it up the open side. transition to vertical stack here from Oregon. Nope, go cross field. And Laurie gets squeezed on Tice for the hole.
Well, UNC throws a wrinkle. They open up with the zone and maybe causing a little bit of a slowdown at first for Oregon, but once they break through to the far side and they force the transition into matchup defense, pretty smooth sailing from there. Another great O point for Oregon.
So at this point, 6-4. Oregon with the edge right now. Just a couple of UNC mistakes. But Oregon has been, extremely clean offensively. And they do not seem rattled at all by playing against this UNC team.
No, they're playing the better game right now.
And potentially maybe even the more confident game.
They look incredibly confident. I mean, that's one thing that you see. It's just every throw is with precision and intention. And they just zip the disc all over the field.
Yeah, Charlie, imagine if they had Kent.
Imagine.
They're doing this all without Kent. Another big pull here, and
it's going to land in. And it does roll just out the back.
Maybe a fortunate break.
That's a break for Darkside, absolutely. That's a risk not to catch that. So they get to bring it to the front line, but stop disc.
Now, nice job by the mark to take away the easy break options. So here's Marcus in the middle.
Yeah, I see him operating downfield a little bit more after a couple of early breaks.
Gut Johannes holding. Comes under to Searles Bose. Layout grab from Marcus. Davis takes off deep, and Marcus is going to put it up again. He hangs it a little much, but this time Davis goes up and gets it over Laurie. Davis had the better position the whole way and uses it to get over the head of Laurie.
Marcus is looking for that. Davis makes the move. Marcus puts it up. Davis so fast. Obviously not the tallest guy, but no problem going up and making that play.
Well, that kid's a burner, and Laurie is probably not going to be able to give him that much room in the future. Great timing also from Davis. Takes a couple hard steps in, and as soon as Laurie committed his hips to the under, Davis pivoted the other way. So Jay Jannon and this Oregon team are going to take a timeout, looking to take the point into the half. Rounds are a little bit shorter today, if you haven't heard the news, but we added the pre-quarter round that should have closed out yesterday after it was removed due to inclement weather to today, and shortened all the rounds to make some room.
And look at the pace of this first half. It's 6-5. We haven't even gotten 30 minutes through this game yet, and there have been, I believe, just 3 turnovers. Neither D-line has given the disc back. So you've got 3 breaks on 3 turnovers. Pretty high-level stuff here for early March.
Yeah, those are the kind of statistics we usually reserve for not even just club games, but like elite, top-level competitive club games. So we will see what Oregon comes out with ATO here.
And we'll see a little more Will Laurie, already with 3 goals and an assist. Putting his stamp on this contest.
The youngest of I believe, 3 Lauries, all of whom are players of a very high caliber.
Older siblings,
nice
Lizzie
lineage.
and Ben, both fantastic college players, now fantastic club players.
I'm sure he has had plenty of opportunity to mine them for advice about advancing in his career.
At some point, we'll have to talk about the best siblings in Ultimate. Been discussed before.
And there's a couple siblings in this game. See if an opportunity to talk about them arises.
More zone from dark side. More than anything, to just slow down the initial attack.
And I find it so interesting the way this Ego team kind of eschews common conceptions about how to attack this type of zone. They are not afraid to go to the trap sideline at all.
Well, they like to chisel up through with cuts from behind the handler. Try to open up space that way. You see transition now into person.
UNC has done this a couple of times. They don't seem to stay in zones very long. They just kind of want to take away pull plays, and particularly coming out of a timeout seems like a wise decision. Near blocks there from Tockley and Walker Matthews, but Oregon stands up to the pressure.
Backhand force from dark side.
Laurie up ahead to Reese. Reese able to find Petrus on the under.
Great move from Reese.
I mean, the guy's just as rock solid as they come.
Archer, a great defender, and Reese just getting what he wants so far on this point.
And interesting to attack Reese with some length. He's a great thrower who can really step around and put the disc out to space, and Archer may be trying to take that away because I don't know that he has the first step to keep up with Reese in a small space. Reese cross field. Noah Stewart goes and gets it. And Oregon, as they are known to do, striking a great balance between attacking up the open side lane with aggressiveness and switching fields once they can get a team to overcommit to that, and just using that speed.
A lot of work with the handlers.
Pick called. Things getting a little choppy here. And the speed at which this game is being played, Charlie, this is a tough test as an observer.
Yeah. I hope you're warmed up before this one.
Yeah. This game comes at you fast.
A couple of picks out of the vertical stack here from Oregon. Slowing things down, but mostly getting comfortable, clean passes away without tons of pressure.
Great throw there from Reese to get around the extended mark from Archer. And now his team is working its way even closer to the end zone. Seither around, and yet another pick. And it's too tough for me to see downfield to get a sense of whose responsibility these are, though odds are it is shared, both a little bit of lazy defense and a little bit of sloppy offense.
See a little bit of disorganization in the backfield or in the downfield right now.
Reese shimmies and gets the around off to Laurie. Patient red zone possession here from Ego.
See the switch.
Laurie going up against his U.S. national team teammate, Gucciuhannes. Or as another representative, Clark goes up the line and he is out of bounds.
Oh,
I think he looks very shocked, and I think it's a player line issue.
It's happened multiple times this weekend. The line is very faint. The player line set with cones often looks like the sideline, and just an unfortunate error for Oregon. Wouldn't happen with a better lined field.
Also, there's no other field where teams are playing with the player line as Gucciuhannes and this UNC offense just rush downfield and are already nearing the red zone.
You see
this just bouncing between dark side offenders.
Trying to take advantage.
Upline throw, and Stewart caught unawares. The throw just drifts past his hands.
Talk about a confident throw.
Nick McLeod on the receiving end of that.
Not afraid to just throw right past a fronting defender, and never saw the disc. It's a break for UNC after Clark catches it out of bounds.
And again, just to reiterate, this is the only field, I believe, in which any team is playing with player lines. So teams are used to the players being an indicator of where the sideline is, and here they were not.
And UNC taking their second timeout.
Wanted a floater here, I believe, for the teams.
We are even on breaks right now.
And
Each
again,
team with 2 breaks.
No defense has given the disc back yet.
That's right. 4 total turnovers, 4 total breaks. That one is just brutal. I mean, I know, it's easy to say he's got to pay attention to the cones, but it's so misleading with the very faint line, and it's obviously still their responsibility to understand where the playing field is, but that's just not a turnover that they really deserved in any way. And don't chalk that up to any kind of mistake, really. That's just an unfortunate situation for Ego that was about to take half up a break.
But hey, I think that this is a good learning experience for these two teams, maybe being overly positive, but these are two teams with aspirations of a national championship. And one of the things that happens when you're on your way to a national championship is you start to play in some weird situations that are very different from your other playing situations, particularly those stadium semifinal and final matchups. So being able to adapt to playing in playing situations that don't match your other ones is an important skill to learn, and one that UNC's experience in the bracket at nationals has probably already armed them with. Oregon maybe getting a chance to learn some of those lessons early in the year. Don't get a lot of those.
Try to catch you up with some scores from the other semifinals in a moment. Offsides called on the pull against UNC. Right now, UCSD up 5-2 on Ohio State in the women's semifinal. 6-3 UBC leading Oregon. And in the other men's semifinal, Carleton takes half, 7-4 over Washington.
So some great matchups brewing. We're going to get to bring you each of the finals following this game. Rare opportunity. Love when a tournament gives us staggered finals and we can really settle in for some treats. Grab the popcorn. Stanford Invite has brought us some true classic games over the years. This could be turned into one of them as it's 6-6. This point is for half.
Huge point. That's why UNC taking the timeout beforehand. Look at Oregon go up that sideline. Again, we see that zone-to-man transition.
The zone conceding a lot of yardage to Oregon. Trying to enter the red zone.
Backhand force.
Colton Clark matched up with Nathan Kwan, and he just throws around this much smaller mark. Here's Quizon Tice. Dishing to Seither. Seither wisely taking the patient option, but goes cross field. It's blocked but deflected by Long, and Reese tracks it down. Petrus, just a yard or so out. And finally, Oregon finds an open man. Quizon Tice in the back of the end zone to take us to half.
2 breaks apiece. We're on serve. Oregon leading UNC 7-6. Both teams trying to remain undefeated. Join us for the second half in 10 minutes. You're watching Old Two Worlds coverage of the 2018 Stanford Invite.
No, it does. That's like kind of what I wanted to do, but just too far to the left. The problem is that I can't generate enough power. Like, I'm not generating enough power.
I'd expect you guys to.
Oh, I don't know. What was the quote?
Oh, you don't have to do that, but that's a break bucket.
Oh, no, that was funny. I like that. I'm glad that got quoted.
I kept rolling to the back range and was like,
We're everywhere, man. Anything you say.
I think it was the guy in like the really colorful hat. I think he was watching. I think he was standing next
Probably
to
watches
me.
other semis. I definitely thought you were creeping for the time, so they're a little floaty. You had no idea. Trying to get that Seattle that drop low. I don't think I do it fast enough to actually get it off.
He's actually opened it. Demo piece and apply for the
Oh, sweet. Yeah, right now we're in the middle of hiring, so we're looking for writing stuff. Sweet. Yeah, we would love to get some more West Coast people.
Yeah, and also I'm from the South Central.
Oh, perfect. Where you
And I
from?
played on Texas two-step with all like the Marcus High School guys.
Right. Are you thinking about covering like youth or club or college?
Well, I played youth and club in Texas. I know a bunch of people on the women's teams, women's teams. But I'm now playing college and I'm going to play club in the Midwest. So I have, plus I have a bunch of friends. A bunch of different
We definitely could use someone who knows stuff about South Central. We always could use more resources, so definitely apply. Yeah, let's go. Normal about the sky. Those two are a good day. That's kind of weird. Welcome back, Ultimate fans, to UltiWorld's live coverage of the 2018 Stanford Invite. Semifinals matchup in the men's division right now. UNC and Oregon, the number 2 and number 4 ranked teams in the country. And if this score holds, could be seeing those flip around. Oregon with a 7-6 lead at half in what has been a very tightly contested game, as the score indicates. But two teams playing very strong, particularly on offense. Every turnover has been converted. No defense has given this back. We'll see if that trend continues.
We were talking about it at halftime, Keith. It looks like a good club game. And these are college teams playing in early March that haven't even played an elite opponent yet. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see the quality of these two teams. And it feels like the littlest margins made the difference in the first half. I mean, the smallest things, slight misexecution on a throw, catching one out of bounds on accident, a reset D from UNC, and a deep block from Oregon. Those are your turnovers. So there's not much more to say besides the fact that we're seeing two really quality teams. UNC has been kind of having to work a little bit harder to try to get some defensive pressure, and they've tried the zone-to-man transition. We've seen that for the last few points. Perhaps we'll see some halftime adjustments as we get ready to start the second half.
Wild to think that we're seeing such high-level play, and we're not even seeing one of the top-ranked team in the country.
Quick note, Oregon's Connor Matthews out right now. That's why you didn't hear his name in the first half. I believe he has food poisoning, so not playing today. And a quick block for Oregon, and an immediate foul call, and some disbelief from the Oregon sideline.
Thomas Williams with the call. Gets Quizon Tice, who jumped the lane there, and the foul is going to be upheld by the observer. So the dish will stay with Darkside. Backhand forced by Quizon Tice. Seen a lot of backhand from Oregon thus far. Nice around break from Andrew Cohen. Here's Charles Bose putting one deep. Reese versus Gujohannes. And Gujohannes goes up and gets it.
Wow.
I mean, I'll take more of that matchup. Sign me up, please.
Let's just watch that again. This backhand huck. Searles Bose so good with that throw. Gujohannes has position, goes up and gets it, dishes the assist. So on serve, we remain. 7-7. Feels like there's no chance of the cap coming into play in this one with the pace that they've played at so far.
Are any of the other semifinals even at half?
Yeah, Carleton got to half. They're up fairly substantially on Washington. But I believe the women's semis are just approaching half, or maybe just reached half. Caught up 10-5 on Washington right now. So looking like they're on their way to the final here at Stanford Invite after winning warm-up a couple weeks back down in Tampa.
So the winner of this game will go on to face likely Carleton in the final, barring a impressive comeback from the Sun Dodgers. So pull gets us back underway. Matthews gets it over to Scyther now. Noah Stewart with the disc. Swings it to Reese. Vertical stack from Oregon. Small open side. Petrus. Big bid there from Quan, but not able to catch up to it.
Kwon so explosive, almost got the D going around his mark.
Over the top throw there from Seither. And Reese jumps it in. Another quick hold. Probably not the last one we're going to see. 8-7 now. Ego leads.
Little scoober out into the open space. Makes it an easy play. Reese, aware of his feet, jumps it in.
Reese assisting on the first goal for Oregon in this game, and now catching the first goal of the second half for Oregon.
And you know, he's not the kind of player that's necessarily going to stuff the stat sheet, but we've talked a lot about him. There's a forthcoming profile of him on Ultiworld as well. I mean, just such a well-rounded player, does a lot of the little things right, and just makes them such a better functioning team. And you see him playing O points, you see him playing D points. He's a guy that's going to be in there anytime they really need a score.
And like, he's not this, he's not the same type of star that we may be used to from this Oregon team, but
not the traditional flashy player that Oregon tends to produce.
But you know who he might be most in line with? A player who often forgotten because like Reese, another guy who wasn't maybe the flashiest player, but ended up winning the Callahan. Eli Friedman, a versatile cutter, really solid athlete, if not the best athlete, really skilled guy, if not the most skilled guy, but just so balanced and disciplined. And a bit of a junk look here from Oregon, kind of blown up by aggressive cutting from Darkside. Here's Kai Marcus, just gets behind the defense and has to stop before the back cone, and does. It's Honor Youngs with the outside in forehand for the assist.
Nice throw to the back of that end zone without putting it out the back. Can be easy to throw it a little too hard in that spot, and Marcus does a nice job hauling it in, keeping that toe down inside the end zone. Good patience there from UNC as well. There was a couple opportunities to maybe try a tough throw as Oregon was kind of scrambling around from that junk and transitioning into a matchup, and just good patience, didn't force it, waited for something to open up and got the score.
To go back to Adam Reese and his role for this Oregon team, it's interesting because, he came into the year, this is a guy who was one of the top players, a first-team All-American last year, guy in the Player of the Year conversation, and it was expected for him to be right in the forefront of that conversation this year, and he probably is, but this year it feels like Ego's maybe a little less reliant on him, that they maybe have the rising tide has kind of hidden him a little bit in just how good he is, because the rest of this offense is clicking at an alarming rate.
Huge OI pull. Lands inbounds.
Clark centers to Seither, and a wide open Will Laurie off the back of the stack. A blown coverage. I don't know why Walker Matthews isn't following him, because Laurie is not in.
Well,
easy dish to Reese for the goal.
Laurie looked like he thought he was in too. He was walking it down like he was about to just catch the easy score. It's a good thing he didn't get too confident, spike it. Walks it down, and then UNC just never played defense. UNC coaches won't like seeing that one. Not just the blown coverage, but also not staying with the play.
Yeah, a little bit of a lack of discipline or awareness from both teams there. But I do believe yesterday we did see someone spike it outside the end zone.
We did.
The first game, Tufts in Wisconsin. Or Tufts in Colorado, excuse me.
Didn't look to the observers.
Got a
threw
little
down
excited.
a spike, and the other team picked it up and went off to the races.
So, 9-8, Oregon up. UNC in need of a break. No turnovers so far in the second half, just clean offense. I wonder if we might start to see some personnel changes on the horizon. Maybe a little bit of Matt Johannes on defense.
Yeah, we saw him play a D point late in the first half. It's very clear both teams really trying to win, trying some different stuff. Pull goes out of bounds here for Ego.
Maybe 25 yards out of bounds, but hanging still. Great hang time. Johannes will check it in. All black, the long sleeves, gloves, black hat, black cleats, black pants.
Dark side.
Dark side. Brand is strong as Marcus comes under to get it. Marcus and Young working together.
Great chemistry on this UNC O-line.
Much of the players on this O-line played together last year. It's the O unit, including Andrew Cohen with the disc now. And just a juke from Johannes just sends Duncan Fitzgerald the other way. Throw comes late. Fitzgerald bids back into the play, but Johannes catches it anyway. That ties it back up at 9s.
Yeah, watch him move here. Hard fake, comes back. Not quite able to catch up enough. Good effort on the layout. 9-9. Feels like this game could be decided by a very small margin.
Nope.
Not just in score, but in on-field play. One mistake.
We've sung the praises of these offenses, which statistically makes a lot of sense. Defenses are both playing pretty well. A couple of mistakes, particularly in the second half, maybe mental mistakes, mental errors, but the defenses physically are applying a pretty good amount of pressure, and there haven't been some of the easy scores we saw that from these two teams in the first half. It's just that offenses are that good.
They are that good. And, to put it in perspective, in many of their other games, they're winning easily. They have not been particularly close. The defenses are getting those breaks that they have had trouble getting. Still, no turnovers in the second half.
So pull goes up, and Oregon's offense will get ready in a horizontal stack.
So they've been running vert. They switch to Ho.
Here's Stewart on the force sideline into the middle for bidding Petrus. Petrus, I think, probably leads the team in points played right now. He's getting a lot of reps.
Playing great, too.
Very well, very well. Walker Matthews and Adam Reese matched up. Another potential All-American matchup here. Back to Stewart, and here's Laurie. Catches it past the bidding Nick McLeod. Reese. Great break throw to space. It seems like there's a call back maybe 3 throws ago. Conversation between Stewart and...
Yeah, Quan just missed a block, too. Although perhaps it wouldn't have mattered after the first continuation. So the disc will go back 2 throws.
So this comes back to Stewart. Reese gets some reset room. Really just a lot of pressure on these resets. But Oregon's been able to resist it.
Yeah, this is the most pressure we've seen from UNC since early in the first half.
I think there was a violation on the mark, maybe a contact call where the didn't go back to 0 or a fast count call, something of that nature. Oh, and that throw a little floaty. Laurie goes up hard for it. Calls the foul on McLeod, and McLeod claps his hands together. I think he feels like he may have bailed Laurie out of what would have been a turnover.
Yeah, he might be right. Would have been a tough play for Laurie to make. Definitely some contact.
So Laurie brings it in. Kind of a flat mark from McLeod. And another pick called. Starting to slow down the game a little bit with stoppages. We've seen a couple of bouts of this throughout the course of the semifinal.
Yeah, when Oregon gets into that vert, they've been prone to some more picks.
Seither using every inch of his considerable length to save that one. Now it goes back to Colton Clark. Reese comes under to get it. A lot of action from the front of this vertical stack for Oregon right now. Handlers on the front of the stack working together. Now get across the field to Seither. Just right of center. Great around break to Reese, and he continues to the end zone to Stewart for a hard-fought but impressive hold for Oregon.
Yeah, that's the hardest they've had to grind the whole game. Great break throw, opens it up. Those little face cuts right across, running to that break side space. We saw them go to the inside, that time to the around. And UNC's defense couldn't quite do enough. They came close on a couple bids, but Oregon gets a hold.
And at this level, you know, some of the things you might preach to most college ultimate teams, you know, keep applying pressure, you know, keep challenging them in the reset space. That stuff might be enough, but right now, you know, the defense is going to have to go out there and get a block probably, because neither team is really making a lot of mistakes, although worth noting that Ego did have an execution error, but were bailed out by the foul by McLeod on that possession. So back to the Ego D-line and the pull from Marks. Ben Pettis nearly blocking the centering pass. Cohen out wide to Gucho Hannes with lots of room. Comes under to Thomas Williams. Great counter cutting here from Darkside, just coming back to the break side after an open side cut pulls the defensive momentum away. Thomas Williams up on the open side. Again, that backhand force. Nice layout grab by Youngst. Some confusion there from the observer's call. Players on the field stopping play to clarify. So now Youngst, a yard outside the end zone, pinned to the sideline. And into the end zone he goes for a contested grab by Gucho Hannes. So all hold still, and it is 10-10 between Oregon and North Carolina.
See all that Gucho Hannes brings to this team. I think it makes it just that much more impressive that UNC's been able to win all their games this season without him before this weekend. Just the ability to remain calm and deliver great throws, but also to get open and make athletic plays like that one.
And what I love about Gucho Hannes isn't just his versatility, but his leadership. You know, during the fall, there were times when he was basically coaching this team.
I mean, basically isn't even right. I mean, he was coaching. He was out on the line, calling lines and defenses.
You can see the trust that he has engendered from his teammates, the buy-in that he helps create. And, you know, he's the kind of guy you want as your captain. I genuinely believe that he makes his teammates better. When he's on the field, he's not trying to do it for himself. He's out there trying to make his teammates' jobs easier. And I think that's reflected in how his teammates respond to his play. He's got great composure, but he's just the kind of guy you want leading your team if you're trying to win a championship.
This pull has been out of bounds for a while. It's going to be pretty short. It's going to be not even to half field, so mistake there. Oregon with a very short field. Not too many chances left for UNC to get the break that they need if they want to win this game.
Well, we speculated as to potentially seeing some personnel changes like Gucho Hannes coming over to the D-line, and he is out there for this defensive point now. So maybe a big opportunity for UNC. Misexecuted switch in the stack here between Matthews and Gucho Hannes. Maybe Gucho Hannes' O-line experience showing. And between the bad pull and that, Oregon's already in the red zone on the forced sideline. Seither around to space. Clark catches it under pressure.
That's an enormous play by Clark.
Reese back to Clark. Gucho Hannes matched up with Laurie now after the switch, and they're looking for their opportunity to make a play. Clark Forces the switch with the give and go.
Smooth switch there from UNC.
Laurie on the open side now. 5 yards out, up line to Reese. A yard out. And they will throw this tight window throw if it's there. Scuba from Reese. Crossfield wide open. Stewart, he's still just outside the end zone though. And Laurie tries to toe it in, called not in by the observer. So now looking for that last yard or two. And this time, takes a couple throws to get there, but there may be a stoppage that's going to preserve this point. No. Signals our goals. Oregon holds.
So the short pull and the big gainer on the first pass gets it straight into the red zone for Oregon. They have to work, and nearly a turnover, but Clark bails them out, and they get the hold.
And we talked about how small the margins are in this game, and one of the areas in which other games it's fine probably to do is the out-of-bounds pull. That out-of-bounds pull is going to make you pay in a game where it's really been a game of inches, and like there's just so little room to make mistakes.
Yeah, we've only just seen the UNC defense able to create some pressure in the last 2 points. Did a good job there to force Oregon to have to work hard to score once they got into the red zone. But the breaks, few and far between. And it's a little disingenuous to say it, but perhaps the flip will decide this game.
I think that would be kind of bearing the lead.
Yeah.
And wild to think that this is just the semifinal. We could have an even better game in store.
Carleton dominating Washington. They will reach the final.
A Washington team that on stream yesterday looked real damn impressive.
They are very good. It's just Carleton is really
this
proven
year, very
so
good
far
is
to be
not
on another
enough.
another level. And I'm excited to see them play against one of these two teams. Either of these two teams is going to give Carleton a great matchup.
Jay Jannon walks off the field, one of the most consistent entities for this Ego team. A coach who, always has kind of a light approach that makes it hard to evaluate his impact from the outside perspective, but that his players swear by. And Jannon certainly has a very successful resume behind him as a coach.
Every year, Oregon is an elite team. And you can't say that of many of the other top programs. You think of your Oregons, your Wisconsins. Those teams have won more championships, but not always at the same level as this Oregon team seems to be.
Thomas Williams underneath, followed by Alexander Davis. Davis has the reset denied, but Cucho Hannes finds some room. Youngst, just a disciplined.
Wind suddenly picking up, blowing left to right.
It's not complicated what UNC is doing, but it's effective because they do it right. Hard cuts, threaten spaces, change direction when your guy commits, go the other way with the throw when you have to. Inside break from Marcus. Great vision to the back of the end zone for Andrew Cohen. And another UNC hold to tie it up at 11-11.
That is maybe a bit of a risky pass, but an absolute dime. Fires that. Gets up over the head of the defender. Great score for UNC. Oregon, though, just needs 2 more holds. But I guess we may see this game reach even further. If we get into overtime, teams tied at 12. It's going to be win by 2. There is no soft cap. The clock you're seeing is a hard cap, and the game will be completely set hard at 15. But it is game to 13 right now.
I'm surprised maybe a little bit by the reserved energy of these two sidelines. We're so used to these two teams being like very loud, but I think everybody's kind of waiting for a big play to spark this game, because it's hard to stay pumped up when the offense is just walking it down the field every time.
Yeah, the big plays have been possession-saving grabs by offensive players.
Seither centering to Clark. Backhand force from UNC and some switching poaches trying to maybe take away a potential pull play. Here's Stewart and Laurie. All short gainers now for Oregon. Vertical stack downfield, and again the action coming from the front, although it's Clark off the back that gets them the yardage, and he'll go into the end zone for Laurie.
Clark has been so solid today. Laurie with another goal.
Clark, a guy you think of as a powerful thrower. He's got that big frame. He's able to really put up big hucks. You know, take some risks. He likes to throw cross field, but he has really reined it in this game and just moved the disc as a fulcrum of the offense. And that's his first assist of the game.
But that undersells his impact.
Absolutely it does.
Laurie, though, on the stat sheet. 4th goal there. He's got a pair of assists. So involved directly in half of Oregon's scores.
So the traditional D-line out here for Ego. Holding the advantage right now, so the onus on dark side. Will the number 2 team in the country and favorite to make the final fall before even reaching the final of Stanford Invite? Statement game here from Ego, no matter how you slice it, even if Oregon doesn't pull it off. Marcus puts it up to Davis deep. Again, a hanger. Davis fighting for position. A lot of contact there. No surprise to see a call, though I can't say which way it's going to fall.
Well, let's take a look at the replay. Definitely some contact. What's the legal amount here? Davis bumping. I really don't think that's a foul. I think Davis is just holding his position there, and there was a slip from Matthews, and that's just normal standard contact.
I mean, I think that they were both jockeying for position. I would also say not a foul. The observer agrees. I would say it's not a foul because you can't dish it if you're not going to take it. And when Chase Matthews goes into that one-on-one and they start bonding each other, I think you kind of got to accept that the foul call is not going to come your way. So Davis with the score.
Watch it again here. You see contact and created. Matthews really trying to lean in to get some position and never gets it. And then kind of wants to make the bailout call. See Davis there. Another nice play for him. And that's, he gives up some size, but still able to stay so strong on that cut.
3rd goal for Davis, 4th assist for Marcus. And I'll tell you, when Marcus threw that, Davis was not open. His defender was stride for stride with him. And while Marcus does have those 4 assists, his deep throws have not been executed at the level we are traditionally have come to expect from him. A lot of hanging throws, and Davis has kind of bailed him out a couple times. So area of improvement for Marcus, but here we are at 12-12. Oregon's offense out. Pretty standard D-line here for dark side as the pull goes up for Walker Matthews, and the tenor of this game is starting to hit another pitch.
We have a battery issue with the camera. We're switching it, and we're right back.
Reese around there to Seither. Defender had fallen down. Wide open Clark. Some switching off the back of the stack right now from UNC, but Oregon not able to make them pay quite yet. Seither reaches out to save that one. Hammer, wide open target. Petrus on the other end, 13-12. Ego.
Petrus fired up. The big spike. Take another look here. Another great O-point. Clark, nice throw. And then the hammer to the uncovered space for Petrus.
And one area in which UNC's defense has not played its best is in some of these switches. Sometimes they're smooth, fluid, and effective. Other times they're a little chaotic, and once they're behind the 8 ball, this Oregon team is fast and aggressive and isn't going to let them recover. There, the mistakes kind of cascaded. At first, Oregon wasn't quite able to attack that space, but eventually there was just somebody wide open, and I think it all started with some missed switches from UNC that they never really could get back to standing on their feet with.
Well, it goes without saying, Oregon just needs a break to close out the win. And if they keep holding, if they get to 15, the game is over. We are officially in overtime. What a game this has been.
I mean,
Still no breaks in the second half.
Everything we expected it to be, right? Everything you hoped for. We may have another one after this.
Big hanging pull. A
And
little
that's
short, but sitting up.
Defense is going to be able to set up here. Not that the defenses have really been able to strike in this second half. Flood play here from Marcus.
Oh, and a big
And
pick.
Two Oregon players colliding. And Michael Fielding getting the worst of that. Marcus arguing for his separation, so we'll see if he can get it from Johannes, and he does on the scoober. All the way across the field to Youngst. Thomas Williams takes off, pumped and swung. Fitzgerald has done a commendable job on this Johannes matchup, particularly in the backfield. Nice swing here to Williams.
Good mark from Fitzgerald there to prevent the quick reset to Johannes.
I mean, Fitzgerald is a hard worker, exactly the kind of guy you need to match up with Johannes. Youngst towards the end zone, and the speedy Davis collects another one. This game continues on, 13-13.
Johannes doing a lot on that point. The big break throw earlier in the possession to open things up. Great throw ahead for Davis. Davis has scored a lot of goals. That's his 4th goal of the game.
This is a guy who I think played a very reserve role for them last year. Got in a couple times, made the deep cut, used that speed, but now there's a bigger role available for him, and he's a little more seasoned and has been able to make an impact. And maybe it's because, in part, this Oregon team's so fast, you kind of need some speed to answer them. Ben Snell, the stand-in coach for Darkside, giving instructions on the line. Walker Matthews ready to pull.
Snell won a championship with the team a couple years ago after sustaining a knee injury the previous season, the year that UNC lost to Colorado in the final in 2014. Came back as a 5th year, played fantastic for them at Nationals, won a title. Now coming down from Seattle to help out this weekend.
Nice to have a network you can tap into even when you fly across the country.
Clark.
Again, backhand force. We've seen both teams use that quite a bit. Throw to the middle. Who's on Tice? And a block there for Tech Lee.
The first turnover of the half.
Could this be the game-changing opportunity Darkside's been looking for? Elijah Long checks in on the forced sideline.
dangerous reset situation, but a great inside forehand.
Matthews rockets one, looking for the speedy Kwon, but he's not going to get there first. That throw left something to be desired.
Wow, and you wonder if they'll get another chance.
So here's Reese in the middle, marked by Matthews. Laurie's taking off, and Reese puts it up. Laurie slowed up his cut. Don't think he thought that was coming. So now UNC is going to get the disc back. Full 70 to go.
Beautiful day here in Stevenson, California. And just a fantastic game here between the number 2 and number 4 teams in the country.
Nerves may be getting to these teams at this high-pressure junction. Elijah Long with the disc, Scyther on the mark. His old goal line. Horizontal stack from UNC. They come over to the break side to McLeod. Kwon in the middle. Now wide open, Lee underneath. Kwon, floaty break side throw. Reese versus Walker Matthews, and a strip call here.
And good spirit by Reese. It's right in front of our booth. Matthews definitely caught that and had it taken away by Reese.
But Matthews gives it back. A miscommunication on the reset there with Long. And now Oregon with a great short field opportunity. But the defensive pressure is really coming from this dark side team. Reese around to Scyther and now to Clark. All the way on the other side of the field, and they punch it in. Guizon Tice, 14-13. UNC staring down the barrel.
Oregon 1 point away from a win. UNC with 2 chances on this point, the only chances of the second half. And they go around the horn. Oregon punches it in on the doorstep of the upset win and a spot in the Stanford Invite Final against Carleton.
Sure, we're here to enhance your experience, to add some insight and some information, but honestly, this game speaks for itself. This has been an excellently played game by 2 very good teams.
I mean, you hope for a game this good in the national final.
And there are plenty of indications that this could be a preview of it.
Can Oregon close it out with a break? We've focused a lot on the UNC defense, but that's by necessity. Dark side needs a break. Oregon just needs to hold. But maybe they can close it out with a D-line score.
Traditional D-line here from Ego. Mark's ready in the pull.
One of the better pullers at the tournament.
And lofts one that's going to drop a bit short for his lofty standards.
Yeah, the wind has kicked up a bit.
Again, backhand force. Johannes just floats one out to the break side. Williams collects it. Gives it over to Searles Bose. Give and go to get to the middle of the field by Searles Bose, and now they're across on the other side. Marcus Gaynor to Youngst. And now break side throw. Crafty throw there from Anders Youngst. Johannes now isolated in a place where he is very successful, but Searles Bose has been holding the disc for quite a while, but shows great composure, finds Andrew Cohen, drifted towards the back cone, and here we go, Charlie. 14-14, a bid to the final on the line, but maybe even more than that with 2 teams that have such high expectations of themselves.
Scary spot there for Searles Bose, but has a cutter open at a high stall. And how could this game do anything other than go to double game point after what we saw in the first half? UNC with their last chance for a break. Oregon looking to stay perfect in the second half on 0 points.
I think I'm not going out on a long limb to assume that the UNC coaches are wherever they are watching this game and are probably thrilled to see their team put in this position, this high pressure. Probably disappointed that they can't be here to help steward them through it, but I'm sure very excited to see that their team is going to get an opportunity to test themselves at this kind of high-pressure situation against an opponent of such high caliber.
And across the field, Oregon's O-line just gave up 2 turnovers on the previous point. Perhaps got a little lucky not to give up the break. Got to come out. Double game point. Big spot. This is the kind of point that can really come back and help you at the national championships. You can lean into remembering these moments. We went out there under the pressure and we got the score. We got the block. Team's talking it over with a timeout here from UNC.
These are the reference points you use to help guide you through the times that are tough later in the year. This is the stuff you look back to and you say, hey, we were in this situation. Here's what we could have done. Here's what we did do. You know, this is the success you want to help be your stepping stone towards a bigger, grander goal.
Don't forget, coming up, women's final, top of the hour, followed by the men's final. But for now, we get to enjoy the end of this fantastic semifinal between these two teams.
So the line, Nathan Kwan, Walker Matthews, Tech Lee, Norman Archer, Elijah Long, Matt Guccio-Hannes, and Nick McLeod for Darkside. Opposite them, Will Laurie, Colton Clark, Braden Petrus, Adam Reese, Ted Seither, Noah Stewart, and Xander Cuisinart, the standard Ego O-line. And those 14 players, they're going to be the ones that decide who's going on to the final. Matthews sets the pull. Short again, a little bit of wind going left to right. Colton Clark holding, and a pick call that it looked like a split stack play from Oregon, trying to free up some deep space, and a pick called in the interim.
Now, Reese had steps there, but because of the pick.
I could only hope we'd be treated to a Reese Matthews one-on-one deep shot. Reese underneath. Holding. Looking reset. Petra squeezes free. Stewart underneath. Slides into it. Guccio-Hannes on the mark. Sidelines calling out instructions, pushing the intensity higher as Petrus comes under and burns a timeout.
Wow. I can't say that I expected to see a timeout, but maybe just want to set up a play, have some certainty. Oregon's done such a nice job of just staying in flow, giving now chance for the UNC defenders to rest. And they'll talk it over, maybe trying to set up a play. I mean, the one spot that they've struggled a little bit is in the red zone. They've had to do a lot of passes to find that open space. And so this will give them a chance to set something up. Jay Janin in the huddle, talking it over with the team.
I don't really think that there's much strategy to go over here. I mean, maybe if you're Oregon, you draw up a play, but chances are you probably already have whatever this scenario is pretty well ingrained. You have your go-to play in this situation, and you don't want to get too fancy. And this is probably as much about the mentality that you need to have coming out of this timeout as it is about what you're running. I don't think either team's going to try much at, not going to pull anything out of the bag of tricks here with the game on the line.
Hardcap horn went off, obviously not relevant. This point was decisive regardless.
So Petrus will bring it in on one with Tech Lee on the mark. Colton Clark at the front of the stack, splits the stack, and Reese comes under. And now the breakthrough, blocked on the layout by Elijah Long.
Unbelievable play from Long. They drew that play up in the huddle, thought it was there, but Long, maybe the best individual defender on the team, comes up with an insane layout block, and now a chance for UNC.
Long to a wide open McLeod, and he comes all the way over to Quan. Norman Archer with separation. It feels like right now North Carolina has the momentum. Can Ego recapture it? Cucho Hannes back to Long as they get across the field, and here's Quan underneath versus Cuisinart Tice. Open side available for Darkside right now. Quan gets it to Long. Nicely denied there by Seither to keep the disc in the middle towards the end zone for Quan. Quan goes up to get it. UNC's going to the final.
Wow. Wow. How could it be anything other than the final pass for Oregon getting blocked? UNC goes the other way, and the littlest guy on the field gets the biggest for the huge catch to send UNC to the final. We're going to have number 1 versus number 2 coming up in the men's final. Here's the play again. Kind of a sticky spot, no reset, and Quan goes up to get it for the win. And let's go back again and take a look at the play from Long. You see they run a little, it has a bunch of different names, a zipper play, and then Long with the huge block. It was all set up. Reese comes under, wide open. He knows that throw is going to be there. It looks like it's there, and Long, full extension for the block, and UNC 15-14 victorious over Oregon. What a game.
We said the margins would be tiny, and Reese, that throw just a little, the smallest bit behind where it needed to be, and that was all that it took. What a game. That was like, watching one of those track meets where two guys are running next to each other the whole time, and in the final sprint it comes down to a photo finish. Can only get better from here, folks.
That's easily the game of the season so far. Hope you enjoyed it. Wow, we're gonna catch our breath, and then in 5 minutes we've got the women's final coming up. Cannot wait. Join us then. This is Ultiworld's coverage of the 2018 Stanford Invite. UNC 15, Oregon 14. That'll do it here in the semifinals.